On today's episode, you'll hear from an engineering and services manager who has a huge passion for marketing, so much so that he has become his company spokesperson and helps write quite a bit of their technical content. Talk about a marketer's dream. Hear his journey of how he got started with content marketing, what they're finding to be most successful, and where they're investing in 2021. Let's do this.
Welcome to Content Marketing Engineered, your source for building trust and generating demand with technical content. Here is your host, Wendy Covey.
Hi, and welcome to Content Marketing Engineered. On each episode, I'll break down an industry trend, challenge, or best practice in reaching technical audiences. You'll meet colleagues, friends, and clients of mine who will stop by to share their stories. And I hope that you leave each episode feeling inspired and ready to take action. Before we jump in, I'd like to give a brief shout out to my agency, TREW Marketing. TREW is a full service agency located in beautiful Austin, Texas, serving highly technical companies. For more information, visit trewmarketing.com. And now on with our podcast. Hey everyone, I'm here today with Chris Grainger. He's the engineering and services manager at EECO. He's also the podcast host of EECO Asks Why. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Oh, thank you, Wendy. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, you're the first engineering and services manager that I've invited onto the podcast. And I find it very unique that you are dabbling into marketing, more than dabbling. You're very involved in marketing. And so I just want to start off by saying, what steered you in this direction?
Well, I mean, back in a few years ago, we had the motor service division. I oversaw that from a service standpoint, but we divested of that and took over the engineering and services portion of our for the EECO Carolinas. And I saw a need to serve customers differently. I have a bunch of smart people that work with me and the product management, solution architecture, and groups like that are solving problems. But for me, I was trying to figure out how do we get the stuff that they're doing, to more people and let them kind of evangelize what we're doing. So I said, well, we hired a marketing manager at the time, and he and I just hit it off, and I had a lot of commonalities in our backgrounds, and I learned a lot from him about marketing, and it was all just fascinating to me. I was always listening to podcasts. Like I remember going back and forth to our Georgia location, and I was listening to Gary V back then, and Gary V was talking like every week while I was driving down there. You need to be starting a podcast. If you're not starting a podcast, you're an idiot. And I'm just like, all right, I've heard it enough. So,
Well, good.
so yeah, I can do it. So we, I don't know, it was the fall of 19, and I decided to make a pitch to our executive team on. I think we'd like to do a podcast to serve industry and talk about the ideas and the heroes out there that we want to serve, we want to help. And they said, well, can you pull it off? And I said, I think so, but I sure would like to try. So, if you let me try, if it's bad, we'll stop it. They're like, look, we're behind you, try it out. And I guess 60 plus guests later, 150 episodes recorded, we're wide open. It's been a blessing. We've had great feedback. I've been able to connect with people literally all over the U.S., but we have downloads all over the world, which is crazy. When you look at like on all 7 continents, people have downloaded the podcast. And then that's just led to, business conversations to further develop our relationships. It's just been a blessing. And so I'm always surprised when my email I'll get from someone, hey, I heard your podcast. I think it's great. It's really helped us in this area. And that's what it's all about.
Well, I love that you are not confined by the boundaries of your job title. And
Mm-hmm.
when you look at what you're tasked at doing is to help your customers be successful, and that you saw that educating the customers through content, whether it be podcasts or otherwise, were a mechanism to do that. I mean, you're every marketer's dream to have this kind of technical partners. So it's outstanding.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, it started a lot with blogs too. I started writing a lot of blogs for our company, and then, resharing those blogs on LinkedIn. And so, I mean, all of that, I guess I've always just kind of had that servant heart to try to help people. That's what I get the most fulfillment out of. So the podcast was just a natural fit to try to take that to the next level.
Yeah. Well, I saw on your EECO Asked Why page, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna read my quote here.
Okay.
Our heroes are the people that build things and keep them running. We focus more on why our heroes exist, what challenges they are facing in the future, and the goals they're trying to accomplish. That
Mhm.
word hero, and you've already mentioned it actually once on this podcast, that's a very powerful word. What
Yeah.
discussions led to using that word specifically?
Well, I mean, that whole tagline was from our executive team, and our COO really did a lot in that development. But I think they hit hero spot on. And I found no one likes to be called a hero. You know, when I tell them that I want to record a hero episode with you, they're like, "You're not recording it with me. I'm not a hero." I'm like, "Yes, you are." And then we get to having that conversation, and they just feel good. They get to tell their story, and for us, we get to share that. Half of our hero conversations are not even about work. They're about the people themselves outside of work. And that's what I enjoy the most is all the different hobbies people have, and they get to share about their families and the stuff that they enjoy consuming just on their own. So I think it's very pertinent to call them the heroes.
I love it. It's very sticky, and it speaks to where your heart is as a business and as a professional.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about your content marketing process.
Mm-hmm.
So, first off, what types of content are you finding to be most helpful for your target personas?
So far, we've had some blogs do very well, and I know blogs are that's kind of old school, but they're doing very well. We're getting a lot of good feedback, and we actually tied one of our most successful podcasts to the blog, and that's now just rocket ship from a download standpoint because we just feel like once the people hear about or read about that topic, they want to hear more, and the podcast is there. They can dig deeper there. So that's been a really good one. And then just we're trying new things. We're trying to find ways to repurpose the podcast, but also create some landing pages on specific topics and tie the blogs, the podcast, all the different areas of content together. And then we started recently dabbling into this thing called video. And even though I have
This new invention of video,
yeah,
right?
this new invention, I have a face for radio, but they threw a camera up in front of me and said, go at it. So we're having some fun with that and trying to figure out. So we're doing like little how-to videos. We started getting some good traction on that. Little demos and 5-minute demo for a new technology. Hey, if we could do it with a video and put it up and just let our customers self-serve, that's been great. And then we've even started doing videos with customers and end users where they're taking the company I'm working on right now. It was a really cool case study. And I took the story and I said, well, would they be willing to share the story? So we actually did it over video where they were sharing their story. I turned that into a case study and shared it with them. And now we're turning that into like a campaign to talk about monetization and so it all just comes full circle. But it made the customers feel so good for one, because, hey, they got a spotlight on them. It's all about them. But at the end, what they went through, somebody else probably needs to go through, and they can just learn from them. So that's been one of the newest ways we've tried to create content to help people.
I love what you said about how the customers were flattered and they enjoyed doing it, because oftentimes when we marketers ask sales to, hey, will you ask if your customer will be part of a case study, that we get a lot of pushback at times, and sales is worried about, asking for too much or killing the deal or whatever. But so many times the customers enjoy the process, and also if done right, they have a piece of content that they can use to promote themselves as well.
Got that right. And we found that too. So they've asked us, like, now the customers that we did the case studies for, they have case studies that they want to use for themselves, that we did the work for them. We did the hard work, the heavy lifting, but it gives them value and it helps them. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Cool. So, Chris, you have a technical background and you're pretty involved, it sounds like, in creating these content assets. And that sounds like a very unique situation. Is that the case, that you're the subject matter expert when it comes to developing new content?
Somewhat. So I like to tell the people, I do oversee engineering and services The subject matter experts themselves, they're on my team. They're the ones with all the technical expertise. So I find myself a lot of time from a content development standpoint, I'm interviewing them, but because I have the engineering background, that interview can go a lot deeper, a lot quicker, and we don't have to cover so much to get to ground one, right? So that's been kind of beneficial for us and also for EECO to allow me to have the time to do some of this development. But they're seeing the end game is helping so many people, and it's giving us putting us into a position of thought leadership, and where we can really help influence and to help so many people.
Great. Okay, well, let's turn back to your content marketing strategy. So you said that a lot of these things you're trying out are having a real impact. How do you measure that?
Yeah, well, the measurement, our marketing and e-commerce manager, Adam, who helps run the podcast, he has all sorts of metrics. I think he has several different ways through Google Analytics, as well as other metrics that he measures, because we're looking at clicks and open rates and bounce backs and all the things that, typical marketers would look at. And then from the social standpoint, we use a platform to manage our social media accounts, but that also gives us metrics to tell, okay, what's working, what's getting the most views or the most comments or generating the most buzz. And then that will help guide us to the type of content we want to start creating in the future. So he's the expert from that. He'll come to me with the metrics and be like, hey, this is working. We need to really focus in this area. So we did for remote connectivity, for instance. That was a topic that we wanted to promote. So we got together. He was showing me some certain areas on the website that are performing well. So we mapped that out to help a buyer on their journey. Okay, if I'm here and I want to learn more, go here,
Mm-hmm.
just all the way down the funnel. And those are things that I never knew of before from an engineering and services standpoint. But now that's how I think. I'm like, okay, I'll find myself now landing on other people's websites. Now, am I in the middle of their funnel or the top?
Right? What are they tracking here?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, how has COVID affected your business and in particular your sales and marketing?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big impact. We were B2B in the Southeast United States. I mean, it's so heavy relationship, it's where you're there. Our account managers, are traditionally they're at certain accounts on certain days of the week, and they have these relationships, and that just got shut down. So, I mean, it really impacted us. We were fortunate to weather the storm fairly well. We obviously didn't meet our financial goals, but we made it through. We didn't have any risks or anything like that, and we were able to keep everybody employed. Our executive team just did a great job of managing us through that, and it's really shifted to where it's so much more digital now. Having Teams meetings and Zoom meetings, and trying to teach people how to be an effective virtual communicator, because that has shifted. Not everybody is comfortable in front of a camera, even if it's just a webcam. So just little stuff like, hey, make sure you have a good mic. Make sure you have the right lights on. Make sure the camera's facing you and not looking up your nose and things like that. It's just, but I mean, those things are real. But the big thing is for us is just trying to figure out how to bring value to customers and how to network with customers. Now that you can't get in the plant, it used to be you could just walk into a manufacturing facility and if you knew one person, you could get in and then you can network from there. Well, those days are over. So shifted a lot more of my time in trying to figure out, okay, how do we do more networking on LinkedIn, or just trying to figure out different means to reach customers and clients or potential clients with our content. And that's just thinking outside the box, definitely not traditional B2B thinking, developing videos and stuff like that you would never be doing in the past, but you're trying to do it now to be relevant and to be helpful and to really get in front of the people that you desire.
So how are you utilizing, you mentioned LinkedIn, are you helping your salespeople with content assets on LinkedIn, or you yourself trying to engage from, I guess, a marketer standpoint so that engagement leads to sales outreach?
Yes. I mean, it's more on that end. I mean, we're doing a lot more from EECO company direct. I mean, we've grown our following tremendously. It's been a blessing. We're up to almost 15,000 followers on LinkedIn, and for a small distributor in the Southeast, that's a pretty good following. And
Absolutely.
so we're starting to be able to see how that's working, how that's paying off, and the number of followers are steadily increasing. So that's telling us we're doing something right. Now we're also being very consistent with the podcast. Our podcast comes out twice a week. Now we're at 3 times a week. And we're really trying to, we didn't want to just be a quick flame and it's gone. So we really were intentional about building a big backlog up front. And that's helped us kind of have a little breathing room, so right now we're sitting with a significant backlog looking in the future, but that also is not so much pressure like we have to record this week. We can still do business that we need to do and record as the right guests and the right topics come up that are going to bring the most value and things like that. So, but LinkedIn, I mean, for us, we're on it all the time. I had the keys to the company's LinkedIn web account, so I do a lot of posting and things like that from
the master
EECO.
key.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. They're like, here, we're going to give you the keys, so now you can be EECO. So now we even started we have an EECO Carolinas page, a main EECO page, my page, and then we have Instagram accounts and starting a YouTube channel that's starting to get some traction because we're going to start posting our podcast on YouTube as well. So just bringing all this together, but LinkedIn is the vehicle that I would say utilize the most, and I enjoy using it. And we use a platform called Hootsuite to really manage a lot of that. So I can sit down and block an hour and do a week's worth of content that we've been working on and schedule that out and then go on about my day,
and you can mentally shift away from that and not have to think, Thursday at 10 a.m.
That's right. I got to do this. I got to do this. So no, it just, that has brought so much peace for me because it's like, all right, I can sit down, focus on it because it is important. It's a task. It's a process for the engineers out there that I know listen to your show. It's all about a process. We're very process driven. So we've got a process for doing the podcast. We've got a process for the post-podcast production, social media, all that stuff because we're ultimately, we're just trying to bring the most value. But if you put a good process around it, it can really work.
What if a company out there is considering starting a podcast, what are some of the questions you might ask in order to decide if it's a good idea?
First of all, I think you mentioned it. I know when we were talking in the past, know who you are as a company, first of all, and who do you want to serve? Because I mean, if you try to be everything to everybody, it may not turn out as good as you want. I was talking to another podcaster. I forget the statistics, but over 50% of podcasts that stop within the first 10 episodes, I think is the stat. It takes work, that everybody,
a lot of work. Yeah.
Everybody thinks hey, you got a cool mic. You're just talking to people. So it can't be that hard, but it is so much just the pre and the post-production. If you want to do it right. And I feel that's something that we've really focused on. It's just, you make sure you have the resources to do it. And you probably need to make sure you have a good team. Our marketing e-commerce manager, I mentioned him, Adam Sheets, I couldn't do it without him. And we've added a new marketing member, Andy Thrower, and she's helping with a lot of the social stuff. So it really takes a good team. It's never about just one person. And then it's about all the prep work. You want to make sure you take care of your guests and that they know what they're getting into and that there's no bugs, or anxiety that they may have. You want to make it as comfortable and natural as possible. And then once it's done, all the post work that has to be done to get it out. So for us, it's just we have a big master schedule for everything that we've recorded and that we have coming up for release. And you may appreciate this. We actually took that schedule and tied in the blogs and the different type pieces of content to the podcast episode, so that when we go to do social media or the marketing or look things like that, it's all mapped there together. We say, oh, that's right. This piece had these blogs associated with it. So we'll make sure we tag them appropriately.
Right.
So
everything's integrated. Yeah,
exactly. And everything has a process, and we know these folders mean this, these folders mean that. And it really makes it flow smoothly.
Yeah, we had a similar discussion. So we look on a quarterly basis at our content editorial calendar for TREW Marketing. And I remember late last year going into Q1, our marketing manager, Sarah, said, okay, I'd like to have video be a focus. So I have these 3 video blogs scheduled. And Wendy, I want you to bring on a video guest onto the podcast. And then we're going to have a video e-kit that we collect all of these assets into. And so she had a very methodical strategy, and it was great because I happen to already have a video guest lined up. So it worked out well for me. But to your point, it has more impact if you can, have a greater strategy. It's not just, oh, this guest said they'd come on, or whatever. Let's say yes to anybody, really
Exactly.
be thoughtful about it.
And you may appreciate this. So we had our team, actually this past month was our first one. We were working, our engineering and service team, we were working so closely with marketing on a regular basis. We actually set up a monthly recurring, 1-hour meeting. And I went into the first meeting, said, okay, what are we going to really talk about for an hour? With our marketing team and with their engineers and solution architects. We filled up the entire hour and a whole page of, hey, we're working on these case studies where we got these videos we're cranking out. We have these articles we need to write. And it wasn't marketing, like just, it wasn't just one-sided. Like it was the engineering team saying, hey, we need to do more of this. I'm going to commit to this. We need to do a campaign around this. We need to do a campaign around this. Or we need to do inbound or outbound focus around this topic. And it was just beautiful. And it's because they've seen it grow over time and marketing work with us and how it's impacted them, and they have better leads now. And it just brings everybody together.
Yeah. And look at that commitment from the engineering team because they were involved in the process and understood how it all connected. And I'm sure marketing sharing metrics of how it's impacting the business. So beautiful.
Absolutely. They love it. They love numbers, that for sure.
Well, if someone's listening and they're saying, I know I need to do this content marketing thing, how do I get started? What advice would you give them? Because you've been there.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's blogs. That's just such an easy way to get started. Just start writing. I mean, pick topics that you can really help people with. For me, also, content marketing is not about yourself. It's about helping others. So keep the salesy piece out of it. You can ask for that order later. Really focus on serving others and trying to help them solve a problem and solutions. And then, I think Gary Vee always says, like, 3 jabs and then a hook or something like that. So, I mean, just always focus on serving others before you ask for that. But that's the big thing for me, just blogs. I do blogs for our company. I do blogs for my side hustle, where I try to help people and some things that I'm doing from a ministry standpoint. So anytime you can just write a piece of content that helps answer a question or connect dots for someone, it could be engineering or it could not, I think that's a good way to get started.
Great advice. What is this ministry blog? I think I need to know a little bit about that before we go.
Yeah, it's called Fmg Financial Hope, and it's basically it's financial coaching for anyone. I mean, I've started doing more of that type of mentorship. I got some young high school guys that are graduating right now. They're getting ready to go into college, and I'm coaching them. And then I'm actually coaching some other people in our church, just trying to help them. I lead Financial Peace University through that ministry as well. But it's just a great way to try to help people who, we weren't ever taught this stuff in high school. Like, what's checking account? What's 401ks? What's Roth IRAs? Nobody was taught that. So it's been a great way. And I'm trying to find ways to get my daughters involved. And we're going to be starting to make videos around, I'm just going to be, one of them's in 5th grade. So I'm just going to sit down with her and we're going to talk about what a checking account is,
I love it.
What is debt and why is debt bad? And so we're just going to sit and talk about that. And it's generated a lot of buzz. I've been, got a Facebook page and LinkedIn and all that. And I'm actually going on a local radio station here later this month to talk about it. And it's just a great ministry, hopefully to turn into something more one day. But right now it's just about helping people.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, how can people find both you professionally and also find that ministry?
Yeah. I mean, for me, connect on LinkedIn. that I'm there every day, really just working on both sides. But EECO Asks is EECO ASKSWHY.com, and that's where you can find our podcast. And then Fmg Financial Hope is the letters FMG, and then financialhope.com. That's where my personal side is, and that, just for people to know, FMG, that's very personal and close for me and my wife. That was the initials for we had a stillborn daughter, and so that was we named the company that right after that happened. So just to keep her legacy going for us, and so it's a very touches our heart. So we're hoping that we can help touch other people's hearts as well.
Nate. Well, thank you so much for sharing your content marketing successes and your professional journey. This has been very interesting. I appreciate your time.
Oh, I thank you so much, Wendy, for the opportunity. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks for joining me today on Content Marketing Engineered. For show notes, including links to resources, visit truemarketing.com/podcast. While there, you can subscribe to our blog and our newsletter and order a copy of my book, Content Marketing Engineered. Also, I would love your reviews on this podcast. So please, when you get a chance, subscribe and leave me your review on your favorite podcast subscription platform. Thanks and have a great day.